Okay, guys, so like I said, I was gonna do a Estellia story, so here we go.
I got the drip, yeah, I got the drip. Look at my whip, yeah, look at my whip.
Okay, so today is March 28th. It has been 11 days since Estellia was born. On March 16th, I went in for a second attempt on an anatomy scan because at my 20-week anatomy scan, they couldn't see all of her body parts and things like that just because of how she was positioned. So, yeah, I went in for basically an anatomy scan. I was 5 weeks and like 5 days. I was almost 26 weeks. I go in for the anatomy scan and they start to do the ultrasound. And um, Estellia is my third baby, so I kind of know what to expect and know what to look for and all of that. So they pulled her up on the ultrasound and I saw her. But one thing I noticed was that I didn't see that flicker in her chest, which is her heartbeat. But in my mind, not thinking like that, I'm thinking it's just there's something they gotta click on to get it to come up or whatever. Like it's not monitoring the full facts or whatever like that. So then I also noticed that she was measuring 21 weeks and 3 days, and I was like, that is not right. That is not right. I am 25 weeks, going on 26 weeks. So I kind of knew then, but I don't know. I feel like I was preparing for it, but I didn't want to believe it until I heard it. So another thing I noticed was my ultrasound tech was dead silent. Now, I had one other ultrasound with her, which was my 20-week anatomy scan, and she was talking a little bit, like she told us the gender and told us that baby was being stubborn, things like that. But this particular day, she said nothing. So I'm thinking maybe she having a bad day, but in my mind, I know. You get what I'm saying? So I asked, I was like, is everything okay with the baby? And she was like, I have to let the doctor tell you everything or whatever. I have to let the doctor explain to you. So I knew then, I knew then. I was like, okay. So they put me in this waiting room directly right across the hall. And I was in there for what felt like an eternity, just waiting on the nurse. Then the nurse comes and she takes my blood pressure and she's like, your blood pressure is elevated. It was like 145 over something, over 60 or something like that. They weighed me and I had lost like 10 pounds. Those were the only two things really going on with me. And I was having like a little bit of pain, but nothing that made me think like, ooh, I should probably go to the doctor. But in my mind, Lord, in my mind, I knew. Okay, but anyway, going back. So they took me to a waiting room and I sat there for what felt like another eternity. And the doctor walks in. It's a doctor I've never met before. She walks in and she starts talking. Well, first thing she says to me is, um, do you know anybody named Dylan? You have the last name as some people in Dylan. And I'm like, no, no, I don't. Like, that's not even my last name for real. But then she was just like, well, you were here 2 weeks ago for what we thought was preeclampsia and everything came back negative. I'll do another video on that later. Like, this may have to be a series of videos. Um, so yeah, she was like, everything came back for preeclampsia. Your blood pressure was good. So yeah, but I regret to inform you that your baby has passed away. And the first thing I say is, okay, I kind of knew, and I started like bawling. My fiance was not with me. He thought he had to watch the kids, and so he just took the kids to his mom's house. But his mom's house was right up the street, so he got his sister to watch them, and he came back, and he was waiting for me anyway. And so I had to call them because for some reason I had no service in this doctor's office. So I had to call him from their phone, and I was just like, hey, can you come here real quick? And he was like, yeah. You all right? Everything okay? I was like, just come here. Okay, cool. So in the process of him coming, I called my mom, and um, my mom knew to answer the phone because it was a different phone number. And she was just like, And I answered it, and I told her, I was like, Mom, she died. And she was like, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. So that's how that went. And so basically, while waiting for them, the doctor was explaining to me that I basically had to give birth to my baby girl. And that shit there really just kind of fucked with me a little bit because I'm just like, I'm about to give birth to my dead baby. Like, despite the fact that she died, I still had to give birth to her. Like, I had to push my baby out, and I did that shit natural, for real, for real. But anyway, yeah. So they told me that I would have to give birth to her, and they wanted me to go right away. They wanted me to go right away. Like, as soon as I left there, they wanted me to go to the hospital. I'm like, okay. So my fiance finally gets up there and he walks in and he noticed that it was two doctors in the room. And I could see the look on his face. He was like, what's going on? And the doctor was like, we regret to inform you, but your baby has passed away. And he was like, he didn't say anything, just the look on his face, like he was devastated. We both were. We both, I, he's handling it good. And I say I'm handling it good too, but it still hurts, you know? But I'm making sense of it all. I'm trying to make sense of it all. We leave the doctor's office and we're sobbing like it was bad. It was bad. We had to pull over because I couldn't fucking breathe. I was like literally hyperventilating. But we ended up going to the hospital and we got there, and our first nurse, the only nurse that we had really, was really, the only nurse that we had like this was really nice and sent by an angel and just kind of like was just really there for us. That lady never left the room. She never left the room. When she initially came in, she saw that we were still like processing, and she kind of just left and was like, just call me when you're ready or whatever, and I'll be right back. She was like, I'll give y'all all the time you need. So we sat there for about an hour, y'all. Like, we sat there for about an hour, just like crying. And I was talking to my mom, and she was crying, but she started praying for me, and like, oh man, that was crazy. So of course, moms being moms, they called everybody, and so everybody is like not calling me, but calling her or texting me. But at the time, my phone was dead, so I literally didn't get any of my text messages or my calls until the next morning because like my phone was dead and I had a charger, but I didn't feel like plugging it up. Like, my fiance, he went out and bought me a charger and some clothes to wear and snacks and stuff, even though I couldn't eat. But yeah, he bought me a charger, but I just couldn't put my phone on the charger. I just couldn't move. I was numb, y'all. So, me and my fiance, we were just chilling there, and the doctor came in and basically got me all set up to the monitors, and she, um, yeah, checked my blood pressure. It was a little high, but obviously. And yeah, and then shortly afterwards, my mom got there. When my mom got there, my boyfriend, my man, my fiance, my baby daddy, they all the same. They all the same person. Okay, so let's just get that there. Okay. um. So once my mom got there, he left and to like he went to go be with the kids for a little bit. He was at his mom's house, which was literally, like I said, up the road. It was like 3 minutes away. It was me and my mom for a good little minute. And while my mom was there, they looked at her and noticed, like, they pulled her up on ultrasound and they looked at her and she was like, well, yeah, there's no heartbeat. Okay, so yes, that does confirm that your baby has died. And she said, she looked at my placenta. She was like, your placenta is like enlarged, which makes me think it's swollen or has come detached, like a abruption. But we're going to send it off to pathology just to make sure. But from what I'm looking at, it looks like that's what happened. In the doctor's office, the doctor says she didn't know why it happened because the preeclampsia came back negative and, everything was fine. So she said she didn't know why and she didn't know when. She said it just happened. Okay. So I kind of got some clarity. They also told me that she was measuring 21 weeks and 3 days there. So they was like, yeah, she's gone. Okay, cool. So they said, well, we're going to have to insert some pills inside of you. I don't remember what they're called, but basically they give it to women to jumpstart labor, but they gave me like first 4 times the dose. So instead of giving me one pill, they gave me four. And 5 hours later, they gave me two. So, yeah, they inserted 4 pills inside of me, and that happened at about 4. We got there at like, that happened at about 4:45. We got there at like 3:30. So they started them in me around 4:45, and y'all, I kid you not, by 7 o'clock, I was like, oh, I think I'm having contractions. And it started out as like mild cramps and nothing crazy. I'm like, if I can handle a C-section, I can handle this. And so I kept asking the nurses, I'm like, is it gonna get worse than this? Or they was like, well, it's gonna be like you giving birth to a baby. Like, so yeah, your contractions, like it's gonna be like some real deal cramps. I'm like, so this isn't it. They was like, I mean, maybe, but everybody's pain tolerance is different. So I get that. So, I'm glad. This is just a side note, but I'm glad I have something to smile at right now. Just being outside is so beautiful. And this bird. Anyway, I was having cramps by 7 something, 7, 7:30, and my mom left around 9. So by 11, my cramps were no longer cramps. They were contractions. Yeah. They were full-on contractions. I mean, they was coming 4 minutes apart. I was like, looking around like, okay. And by 12 o'clock, I was literally rocking back and forth on hands and knees, humming. Like, I'm like, I don't even want to imitate it, but I was humming my way through them, rocking back and forth on my hands and knees. My fiance is there, but he is knocked out asleep. But he's beside me. He's there. He's there, but like he's there. He's like slumped over on the edge of the bed. So he's there. That's how he sleeps anyway. Don't get no weird ideas. But yeah, I'm just noticing that these contractions are getting really bad. So the next time the nurse comes in, she could look at me and tell. She was like, "You okay?" I was like, "These contractions, they coming in." I was like, and they like almost right on top of each other. And she was like, "Okay, well, let me check your cervix." Um, by that time, she was just like, "I'm gonna get somebody else to do it because I don't want to brush. I don't want to brush their water." Oh shit! Now, savage little fly, shoe fly, shoe fly. I forgot to mention that when I was having that mild cramping by 7-ish, they checked my cervix and I was still like fingertip length. When I first got there, they checked and she was like, it wasn't even a 1, but it was like you could get your finger in it. So my body had already started to kind of do its thing a little bit. But by this time she was saying, yeah, I don't want to brush the water, and I'm just like, okay, 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 cool. So I wait a little bit longer and I push through. I eventually call the nurse back in and I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't do this. She was like, well, we could give you some pain medicine. I was like, I really didn't want to. She was like, you don't have to get the epidural right away, but we can give you some pain medicine. It'll just make you feel sleepy. I'm like, okay. I had the same thing with Iris. I think they call it 2 different things, but the pain medicine basically made me feel like loopy, drowsy, like I was there, but I didn't give a fuck. So, and one thing I can say about being on that medicine is you can definitely still feel the contractions. But I remember feeling the contractions and being like, and that was it. Like not saying anything, just like I feel a contraction, but I don't, I don't really care too much to. You feel me? I don't really. It had me feeling. I don't know, y'all. It had me feeling good in a sense, but like I could still feel the contraction. It was just like my reaction to it was different. I got that medicine at around 11, 11:30. I got that medicine by 11:30, and my baby was born at 12:58 a.m. And it was crazy how all that happened because um, I had called the nurse back in and I was just like, yo, this medicine not working no more. She was just like, and by this point, like I was crying, crying because the pain was so bad. And yeah. So she was just like, well, you want to go ahead and get the epidural? And I was about to throw in the towel and just be like, fuck it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And so she was like, okay, well, I got to get your IV started. And so as she was getting my IV started, I had got this real bad contraction and I was just like crying, oh, like just, you know, crying. And she was just like, I know, I'm coming. I got to get the IV ready or whatever. And this contraction was so bad that I was like pushing. And when I did that, kind of like groaned with it, I felt her come out. And like I stopped myself. I was like, oh, I'm pushing. I'm pushing. She was like, don't push anymore. Don't push anymore. I was like, I feel her. And she started screaming for the nurses to come in. And so everybody got there. It was like 5 or 6 people. When this nurse came in, that was my nurse for the rest of the night, basically. She ran over to me and saw that, like, she was right there, and she put my hand over it, like, trying to stop it. I guess so that they could get set up and stuff. And that's when she was just like, when you feel another contraction, go ahead and push her out. But y'all, I didn't get another contraction. Like, in the midst of her saying that, Estellia came out. She was born. And, like, when she came out, everybody's backs was turned because they was getting things straight. And I was like, she just came out. And they turned and she, or I was like, she just came out, or did she just come out? And I remember the nurse coming back over, or looking back over, and she was like, yeah, she did. And she noticed that she was in the sack still. And so she burst it open, and she asked me if I wanted to hold her. My fiance did not. I did. It was a motherly instinct. I'm like, I didn't come here for nothing. I'm not about to not see my baby. I'm not about to not hold my baby. I'm not about to be drugged up and have my baby. Like, no, I'm going to feel this, whether she is here or not. So they put her on my chest, and I examined every part of my baby girl. She had all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. She was starting to grow her eyebrows. Her head was still coming in firm. She had a brain. She was doing good. Had all her bones. It was just this look on her face, though, like her mouth was open, and that's what kind of got me. It had me thinking, like, damn, was she in there gasping for air? Like, my poor baby. Like, I'm doing really good, you guys, because once upon a time ago, about a week ago, I was not able to have this story. I was not able to have this conversation at all without, like, snotting. So, the Spirit of the Lord is real, and the Spirit of her is as well. That's why I have a reason to smile. I basically examined her, and they ended up taking her out. And I told them to. They said that I could keep her in there for as long as I wanted, but it was completely up to me. They asked me if I wanted her to stay, and I declined. Well, no, my fiance declined. And I mean, I kind of felt like it was too. I'm just like, I'll probably see her again before I go. And I did that. That was pretty much it for that night. They kept me monitored or whatever, but like after that, I was just kind of numb, y'all. I was just like, damn, I just had my baby. I just had my baby. And she's not here. So that night was okay. Like, pain wise, I was gushing blood, but you know, like, that's just how that go. But at like 4 o'clock, I woke back up. Woke back up because I was gushing blood, and like I couldn't. They were telling me not to move or and ask for help if I needed to go, but nobody had checked on me since I had her, and so I ended up just getting up and going to the bathroom and realizing it was just so much blood. But that was just because, like, I was just laying there, like, I didn't have on any underwear, no pads, no nothing. Like, they just had me on, like, this little pad, and that was it. So, yeah, I called the nurse in to help me or whatever. And at that point that I really woke up and just kind of remembered where I was and what was going on, and I just started crying. I called my mom, and my mom talked to me till about 6 in the morning, and I went back to sleep. And by the time I woke up, she was on the way. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, losing Estellia was hard. Losing Estellia is hard. Having this experience is really hard. And I just been praying and explaining to other people how I feel, and I feel like they've been praying because I'm at peace this morning, and I know it goes like this. I know it's up and it's down. He's up and he's down. So, but I am thankful for this day of peace and somewhat understanding and no tears. I'm not even mentioning that we had a funeral for my baby girl and it was beautiful. It really was, but it was quick. Like, I had Estellia Friday morning. We had our funeral Sunday. It was real quick. But it was beautiful. All my family showed up. All his family showed up. It was like 50 deep out there. It was like 50 deep out there. It was beautiful. But yeah, that's what happened. I had my baby girl on March 17th, 2023 at 12:58 a.m. And yeah, moment of silence for her. A beautiful baby girl. Like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and probably you should hit that notification bell because I'm not on the schedule anymore. I just post videos when I feel like it. But if you like my videos, you can always turn that bell on so you can be notified every time I drop one, whenever that may be. I'm just like getting through it, getting through everything, trying to get back into the swing of things, all of that. But yeah. Yep, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know if you've been through this before. Let me know your experience. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Like, drop them in the comments. Like I said, this thing may be another few videos because this is just her story. This is not about the weeks before. This is not about the months before. This is not about now or afterwards. This is just her story. And so, yeah, I'll probably end up doing more videos and I'll love to answer any questions. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye.